Well, today could be one of the top 3 most exciting days of our lifetime. Because do you know what today is? The day we close on our home.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we are so excited, so grateful, so like, is this real life? It's just, it's been a long time coming. If you guys have watched our channel, we have been looking for a home in Nashville for 1 year. And fun fact, this is the home that we looked at very first 1 year ago.
I wasn't sure what to really wear to a closing because I've always rented my whole life. Was thinking of the Cracker Barrel shirt. I thought that may be a little informal. So I went with the oatmeal sweater.
Oh, you trying to look like you got that cash?
Always.
As we are always transparent with everything, like the process of the closing, we're going to kind of share today what it looks like when you go in to close on a home, and if there's anything that like you didn't expect, or like, oh, I wish we would have known that, or oh, that was cool. Because I did have a condo on Music Row for about 8 years, but technically my parents bought it, so I was in there in the closing room, but they signed all the papers and did all that stuff. They bought it as an investment, and we lived in it for a long time, and then we rent the place that we're in now. So I've never really been like the buyer in a home close, and I am the buyer today, and it is an exciting thing. We have literally been hustling and hustling and hustling in December, trying to make this work, because I think you go straight. Yeah, go straight. There we go. He doesn't know the directions to our house.
I'm in the lane that has an arrow straight on it, by the way. She just likes to vomit directions every time we get in the car.
But long story short, we made this work. We saw this home 2 weeks ago, and we said, okay, let's start this process. And we did a 10-day close. And right now we are running by the house. So I think this is pretty customary, but since we did such a short close, ours is like literally the morning of our closing. But we're going through to see if everything was done that we did, that we put the blue tape on during the blue tape inspection or whatever. People call it like a blue tape inspection. People call it a blue tape party.
Yeah, you basically walk through and pick the house apart, any little things that were missed or paint that wasn't right or whatever, and you mark it, or we mark it with a piece of blue tape. And obviously anybody that's bought a home before has already been through this process, but we just went through it for the first time. So
so now we're gonna run by and make sure that everything's been done. If it's not done, I'm not for sure what happens. People have different opinions. My dad's like, then don't close, don't give them the money if it's not done, hold up that money. I'm like, oh Lord,
that was
here we go.
Thoughts as well.
I'm not getting this house because there's a piece of paint that's chipped. But just in the spirit of transparency, we'll tell you guys if that does happen to us today, and kind of how it goes down and what we decided to do. There's the option to like keep a few $1,000s or whatever in an escrow until it's done or whatever. We'll see what we end up doing. We only have about 15 minutes to walk through it today because our closing is like now. So we're really gonna focus on that. So I'm not taking the camera in right now. But we're gonna go and do that. I'll update you whenever I get in the car, and then we will take you guys along as we close.
Do we have time to get a coffee?
Yeah, we have plenty of time. Okay, well, we've got great news to report. So the paint looks amazing. For those of you who are gonna ask, it is agreeable gray. Sherwin-Williams. They did the majority of the painting. All they have left is the exterior, like little tiny things, and the trim. So luckily for them, we are going out of town on Sunday to Vail for a week, and then we'll be coming back. So we aren't moving in next week, so they're going to finish those little things then. So I trust that they're going to do it. I mean, different people have different opinions, but I trust that our realtor and the guy that sold us the house, his son is like a contractor, and he just does a great job. Now that everything's good to go, we're about to go sign for this house to make it our own. And I am so just, I just can't even, I don't even know.
I've been tasked with the role of keeping up with the backyard. So I'm very excited. I think I may look at some shrubbery, maybe a shadow box fence.
Oh, wow.
To keep the little children in there. I'm excited about picking up all the rocks out of there and throwing them in the neighbor's yard.
Stop. So to our closing today, I don't know if this is typical or if it's just ours, but I'm telling you our experience. So all I'm supposed to bring today is my driver's license. So we've got our driver's license, and that's just for identification, but I think this is actually pretty typical. So what we did was we wired the down payment to the place that we're going right now a couple days ago. And I think I put down 42 or 48%, which is, I know, a lot more than a lot of people put down, but I just wanted to do that. We really hustled, and I'm very thankful we were able to do that to keep our mortgage payments low. And we went through this mortgage company, and they're actually based out of Louisville, and they were amazing. We made this close happen in 10 days, and people act like it's really, really hard going through the mortgage process. It was not really, really hard. I'm here to tell you that it was a smooth process, and also in the beginning I was like, I'm just going to turn any stress into gratitude and just feel grateful instead of like a chicken with my head cut off. So he sent us a list of some things to send initially, like, just like different things about your paychecks and pay stubs and accounts and all, just different things. And then he asked for a few more items here and there, but it really wasn't that hard. Do you feel like it was?
I think where the hard part and stress comes in is all the information gathering.
Yeah.
And just like before you get into it, knowing, oh my God, I've got to get from my bank statements, this or that, and I think that's where a lot of the stress comes in. But
yeah, what's really funny is they have a house for sale right next to us, and these houses have been sitting there for a little. They're brand new builds, but they've been sitting there like for sale for a little while. They weren't completely finished when we looked at them last year, so for like 6 months probably they've been sitting there. So the one next to us is still for sale, and apparently like right after we decided we were moving forward with this one and put it under contract, they got like 4 offers on the one beside us. They say that happens with houses, like it's the power of attraction, I guess. Like you're like, oh, somebody else wants that? Okay, I want this.
I hope they're cool and not like weird.
They're gonna be awesome. Apparently they were asking about putting a pool in, so Kyle's really excited about that. He's already invited himself to the neighbor's house. Here we go. Okay, so we are sitting in the office where we're about to film our closing. It's like we stepped back in time. It's like very old school. You've been over here eating your dum-dums?
A great selection of dum-dums.
Well, it's a special day. We got a house! That was a pretty smooth process. So we've been here for about an hour and 15 minutes, signing tons of papers.
Looking at all this great artwork.
Yeah. Also, like I like about the closing, 2 different things that I learned that I didn't know that I think will be interesting for this. You get to pick the day that you pay your first mortgage payment. So we're not paying one until February 1st since we still have to pay our rent in January. So that was great. That was a good surprise. And then they were just showing, like, even though we put a lot down and like our loan's only for like 52%, still it makes a difference, like money over time. So if you pay 1 extra mortgage payment a year, it takes 7 years off of your mortgage, apparently. Right? Yeah.
That's what they said, but I'd have to run those numbers.
So if you like take a 30-year mortgage, which is what we got, and pay it off in like 15 or 20 years, you're paying so much less. Like, it was really interesting because, we got a loan out for a certain amount, and he was like, oh, do you want to raise this amount? And I was like, well, what's that going to cost me? And it was like, for raising it $25,000, to borrow $25,000, even over just 20 years, it would cost $17,000. I was like, so I'm buying $25,000 for $17,000? No, thank you. Interest is insane. So that was pretty cool to learn. And I had to sign my middle name in all of these, so it really messed me up. I'm really fast because of Miss Kentucky at signing my name, because I signed like so many headshots that year, but they put my middle name in there and it really messed me up, so it took a little longer.
God knows you didn't have to sign a new last name. You still haven't got it changed yet. Trifling.
So just to give you an idea of about how many papers there are, we had to sign almost every one of those papers. And then like initial in different spots. So it just, it's nice because here at this title company, they went through and explained what every piece of paper was, and then we signed it, explained what the next one was, then we signed it, explained what the next one was. And I recommend, just because I like to keep copies of things, ask them for this document before you leave to put in your files, because they said they could just email it, and I was like, I don't want to waste my own paper and ink.
And it'd take 3 days for us to print out on our crappy printer.
So little things like that, like just have them do to make your life easier. We're so excited to like show our families and just like to move in a week or so.
I've got a question. What would you tell other people going into this? Like, if any preconceived notions, what do you think?
That it's a lot easier than I would have expected, because people make it sound like it's really, really stressful and hard and crazy. But I think, just like with everything in life, it is like what you make it. And if you have in your mind going in, I'm grateful to buy a house and I'm going to do these things through the steps I'm going to take to get my house, I think it can be easy. So this is Fran. Fran, fun fact, is actually married to my cousin Jared. So Fran acted as our realtor, and it just all went great. Do you have any words of advice to anyone buying a home?
Yes, always make sure that you have representation, because you never know what can go wrong. You need someone to always be on your side.
That's good advice. Because we actually drove by the house and like someone's name was listed, and we were like, oh, we'll just go through them. And Fran was like, no, call me right now. So yeah, that was good, because the negotiations back and forth, it takes a little while. So.
Oh yeah!
Congratulations! Yay! All right. Here we go. Let's see what they look like. Shiny and new.
All right.
Never been used.
Yeah. We just walked out with our keys. We got a whole bag of keys here.
We had to ask for them.
Yeah, we were walking out. We were like, so where are the keys? We could not be more thrilled. It's insane. Like, we own a piece of ground here in Nashville and some bricks and like some walls. This was expensive bricks, but oh my God, what a day! What a day!
It's awesome.
Merry Christmas, everyone.